I'm really going out on a limb here, about to cross over to the point of no return. On the far left side is a curve by LiteAF. It's ATEX Ghost Camo Dyneema, and in the middle is Dyneema Black. And on the far right side we have a Waymark Mile, the Mile pack. And here's my dilemma. I grabbed the Mile to test out. It's X-Pack material, and I really like many of the features on it. And when it arrived and I compared the straps from the Waymark to the LiteAF, is a clear difference in these packs. And this obviously showcased still the superiority of LiteAF's shoulder harness. If you put the two together here, you'll see not only is the shoulder harness wider on the LiteAF, but it's also got more cushion than the Waymark. And when you put it on, it's a clear difference. This is where LiteAF really shines. So at the same time, I really like the Waymark pack, and I want to give this Mile a try. And by the way, the Mile, a lot of people are talking about it as a day pack. I can make this a multi-day pack very easily, and with both a underquilt and top quilt that are down, as well as a hammock, and then food for 4 to 5 days. All of that can fit in the Mile in a very lightweight package and a small package. So I actually think this is more than what people are saying is possible to use it for in the total distance and the total number of days. I called up or contacted LiteAF and asked them if they would just sell me the shoulder harness so that I could swap out the shoulder harness on the Mile. Now, both of these manufacturers watching this video are probably having a conniption fit because they're artists and they're craftsmen, and their product is a piece of work to them, a piece of art to them. And I don't blame them for having a fit possibly over watching what I'm about to do. But you'll see the way the Waymark is designed is quite easy to just remove the stitching on the webbing that comes over that attaches to the shoulder harness. And the LiteAF is the one that's going to have a little bit more damage done to it, because I'm going to have to literally go in, cut the stitching out that runs underneath, stitches this shoulder harness in. It's obviously going to also impact the interior. I've got a seam sealed here, so that's going to be cut through. What I'll end up doing is swapping the two harnesses out and really getting all the benefits of the LiteAF harness with the benefits of the pack from Waymark, and that's what I'm going to try to do here. It's interesting because this was the very first LiteAF pack I ever bought, this Curve, and I love it. The quality is really done well. The stitching is done well. It's killing me that I'm actually going to do this, but when I contacted LiteAF, they would not sell me just the harness, and I don't blame them for doing that. So when you can't get what you want from the manufacturer, you take things in your own hands, and so this is what I'm going to do. So I have a second LiteAF. I love both of these packs. I like the Ghost Dyneema so much that it's the black one that I'm willing to kind of take the hit on. I don't want to impact the Ghost ATEX Dyneema. So I'm going to actually do a little bit of a Frankenstein swap here. I'm gonna take this harness from the Waymark and put it on the LiteAF pack, and take the harness from the shoulder harness from the LiteAF and put it on the Waymark pack. And I think it can be done pretty simply just with this removal on this side. When you come down to the bottom, this is where the shoulder harness connects to the bottom. I will actually remove this seam, take this out. On this side, I will remove this seam, these two pinpoints, and take the Waymark strap out, and then the LiteAF harness will go right down in there. So I think there's actually less damage that happen on the Waymark than the LiteAF, and that kills me that I'm doing this. It's kind of a devastating moment. I'm sat here and I've debated it. The tricky thing that I'm gonna have to do too is make sure that, I mean, there was some science here in how the guys at LiteAF put this on the pack and the angles and everything, and it is different than the Waymark. So I want it to line up right and neat and still have the right fit around my neck and around the top of my shoulders. So this is gonna be a little bit of a tap dance to see if I can pull this off. And I beg forgiveness from both Waymark and from LiteAF for swapping up their packs like this, swapping out the different features. But I've done this my whole life. Just about everything that I buy, everything that any manufacturer ever puts together, I never feel like it's quite the way I want it. And actually I give LiteAF quite a lot of credit, because on both of these LiteAF packs, they were very accommodating with a lot of requests. I actually had them trade out the back material for this military spec mesh, which I really love. It's really bomb-proof. It's gonna take a beating for a long time. So they did a lot to accommodate my requests, and they probably had their patience run thin on me, imagine, because I asked for a lot of things. And I understand when the designer and the manufacturer want to cut me off, because I probably pushed my limits. So when that happens, it's then time to take things into my own hands, and I'm going to do some operation here today, and I'll show you guys how that turns out, and then also how the performance turns out. But here we go. Another thing to note, the reason why I'm doing this, you would kind of ask why. You got a perfectly good LiteAF pack, why would you do that? Because obviously the LiteAF, I think this is a 35, Curve 35, can do everything that the Waymark does plus more. Well, part of it is that I got a medium size, and I should have got a small torso. When this thing is fully loaded down, the top of, or the bottom, excuse me, of the pack actually touches the top of my butt. And so there's some rubbing going on there on long distance hikes. And so it's part of the reason why I got the Mile is way above there. There's no touching at all. So what I'll end up doing is this pack, this LiteAF Curve, after I have the harness from the Waymark on it, the shoulder harness on it, this will be a pack that I'll loan to people, allow others to use that probably have a longer torso than I do. So it'll become a loaner pack, and probably over shorter distances, so the harness will not be that big of a deal. But I'm going to put these side by side so you can see the difference, the visible difference in the two harnesses. All right, here I'm going to put the two harnesses kind of side by side up together so you can see the difference. I probably should take out a little calibration tool so you can actually see the difference, but there's quite a difference in the cushion. And then from the width, you can see, if I lay these over top of each other, you see the LiteAF sate on this side, or they both line up on the left-hand side. You see the LiteAF coming out on the right-hand side there. All right, just lining up and showing you some measurements here. hopefully this comes out, and you can see that the thickness of the Waymark strap is less than a ½ inch. And then you come over to the LiteAF, you have 3/4 of an inch. So it's thicker, slightly wider. This one is going on 2 3/4 on the LiteAF, and 2 1/2 on the Waymark. Just trying to get some precise measurements here. The straps attached to the pack is right at 2 3/8 distance, 2 3/8 distance between the two straps and where they attach on the LiteAF. And the distance between the two straps where they attach on the pack on the Waymark is 2 3/4. So you got to keep these distances in mind. All right, here we go, the first incision. And I'm not as pained doing this on the Waymark as I am on the LiteAF because of the way they designed it. This webbing means I never have to enter the pack or obtrude into the pack. I just have to take the webbing stitches off of this webbing, which is going to be pretty easy. So here we go. All right, there's the first harness off. And take the stitching out. All right, there you go. The webbing for the top of the shoulder harness is cleaned up. It's the left-hand side. Now we go to the right side. All right, there we have both of the top harness connections removed. And we'll move down to the bottom connection on the Waymark. All right, there you have it. All of the harness off of the Waymark Mile is complete. Now it's time to start cutting into the LiteAF, which is really going to pain my heart. All right, here we go. The LiteAF straps are all off of the LiteAF pack, and now I'm starting to fit them onto the Waymark. So, time for next step. All right, there it is, all done. You have the LiteAF Curve shoulder harness on the Waymark Mile backpack. Seems like it went on nicely. Everything's all done.